Memorial Day. For many, it's a time for rest, celebration, and the first taste of summer with friends and family. But for some, this day is remembered for something else. Not for the joy, but for the terror they'll never forget. The cries for help in the middle of the night, the blank stares emerging from the shadows, and the people you'll wish you never met. Tonight I'll share with you 3 true stories that happened on Memorial Day. Stories that to this day those who lived through them still can't explain. If you think holidays are only about happiness, then you haven't heard these stories. Story 1. The basement that was never meant to be opened. When things fell apart between me and my parents, I had no choice but to move out. I was out of options. Sleeping on friends' couches could only last so long. I scoured every roommate app, rental forum, and online listing I could find. That's when I came across an ad that caught my attention. A guy named Luke was renting out a room in his 3-bedroom house. The price $1,000 a month, a steal for the area. He listed himself as the landlord and roommate, but claimed he was rarely home. In big, bold letters, he added a few house rules: no parties, no guests, no alcohol in shared spaces, and absolutely no access to the attic or basement. He said they were used for storage only. I met Luke in person before agreeing. He was soft-spoken, awkward. His hands fidgeted constantly, and his voice shook when he talked. The house was modest, mostly clean, and already furnished. The room was decent, and I appreciated that he gave me a key to lock it, a nice gesture, I thought at the time. I moved in 2 days later. There was no lease. Everything was off the books. I'd pay him cash at the start of each month. The first week was quiet. I decorated my room, unpacked my clothes, and kept to myself. But I quickly noticed something strange. Luke never left the house. He said he worked a lot, but every time I came back from work, his car was always there. And then came the noises. At night I'd hear footsteps outside my door, soft creaking in the hallway. Once around 2 a.m., I stepped out to use the bathroom and noticed the basement door slightly ajar. A faint yellow light glowed from below, and there was a smell. Musty, wet, and somehow rotten. I peeked down the stairs. That's when I saw him. Luke was already standing at the bottom in the shadows, just staring up at me. His expression wasn't surprised. It was annoyed, like I just walked in on something I was never meant to see. "I'm just going to the bathroom," I muttered. He didn't blink. "Close the door." I did. After that, things spiraled. One day I came home and found my bedroom door unlocked. I always lock it. Inside, everything looked normal, until I noticed the clothes in my dresser had been rifled through. My closet door was half open. On my nightstand, I found something I hadn't seen before: a folded piece of paper with my name on it, and a date written in pencil, the same day I'd been at work. He had been in my room. I tried confronting him, knocked on his door, no answer. But his car was in the driveway. Later that night, I caught him on his way out and asked if he'd gone into my room. He stared at me blank-faced and simply said no, then walked away. That was the first time I genuinely felt afraid of him. The next day, while he was out or so, I thought I decided to check the basement. His car was gone, and the house was silent. I opened the door. There were no light switches, so I used my phone flashlight and crept down the creaky steps. The basement was small. The carpet didn't fit the floor. It curled up at the edges like someone had rushed to install it. In the center was a single stained couch. The smell was stronger down here. Not just musty, but like something decaying. In the far corner was a locked door. The doorknob had scratches around it, like someone had tried to claw their way out or in. Then, I heard breathing. Slow, deliberate. just behind me. I turned. No one was there. I ran. That night I locked my bedroom, shoved a chair under the doorknob, and tried to sleep. But sometime around 3 a.m., I woke up not from a noise, but from a presence. Luke was standing beside my bed, watching me. I screamed. He raised his hand, not holding anything, and whispered, "You went down there." I stammered, "No. I didn't. How did you get in here? Are you sure?" he asked. Then, without another word, he turned and walked out. Just before closing the door, he said, "I think you should start looking for another place." I didn't wait. I packed everything and left before sunrise. When I demanded a refund, he opened his door just enough to extend a single hand with a small stack of bills. Never made eye contact. Never said a word. That was the last time I saw Luke. And I still don't know what he kept locked in that basement. Story 2. The door at the end of the hallway. Story 2. The door at the end of the hallway. I never thought of myself as someone who's easily haunted. But there are nights when everything is so quiet it's suffocating that I still lie awake, remembering that one night. It all started when I moved into a third-floor apartment in an old building on the outskirts of Boston. The rent was suspiciously cheap, and the landlord seemed eager to sign the lease. The apartment was nothing special: one bedroom, a small bathroom, and a kitchen that opened into the living room. But there was one thing that made me uneasy from the moment I stepped inside the door at the end of the hallway. It was always locked. The landlord said it was a shared storage room for the building and it didn't concern me. But every time I passed it, I had the strange feeling that someone was standing on the other side listening. The first week passed quietly. I worked remotely, didn't go out much, and rarely saw anyone in the building. But then, on a Wednesday night, I heard a faint knock behind the door. Not loud, not urgent, just knocking, as if someone was testing to see if I'd react. I cracked open my bedroom door and peeked into the hallway. No one. Everything was dark. Still. I told myself it was probably the pipes. But the next night it happened again. 3 knocks. Then silence. At exactly 2:12 a.m. I started tracking the time. Every night. 2:12 a.m. 3 knocks. One night I set up my phone and quietly aimed the camera down the hallway. I wanted to see who or what was doing it. When I reviewed the footage the next morning, I nearly dropped my phone. Around 2:11 the frame was dark and empty, but at exactly 2:12 the doorknob turned slightly, then stopped, followed by 3 knocks. No one ever appeared on camera. No shadow. No figure. But the handle had moved. I sent the clip to a few friends. One joked I should move out. Another didn't say anything, just blocked me afterward. No one wanted to talk about it. I thought about reporting it to building management, but the reply to my email was a single line. "You agreed to the terms of the lease. Please respect the boundaries." That's when I started hearing breathing at night. Not from my room, but from the hallway. Slow. Deliberate. As if someone was standing right outside my door. Once I peeked through the bottom gap beneath the door and saw another eye staring back at me. I slammed it shut, bolted every lock, and turned on every light. I didn't sleep that night. I sat against the wall, clutching a kitchen knife, eyes locked on the hallway. By morning, everything was normal again. No sign of intrusion, no footprints, no sounds. I decided I had to leave. A few days later, I returned to grab the rest of my things. 2 police officers were standing outside the building. One of them told me to stay away. When I asked what happened, they looked at each other. Then one whispered, "The tenant before you went missing back in March. They just found his body in the storage room, behind that door at the end of the hallway." I didn't ask anything else. I left immediately. No deposit. No packing. I just wanted to get out. I still dream about that hallway, that door, and the knocking at 2:12 a.m. Story 3. The Stranger at the Festival. I never thought a summer festival filled with lights, music, and laughter could be the start of a real nightmare. But it happened during the annual fair in the lakeside town where I grew up. I was 17 that year, going with my best friends Dylan, Jesse, and Maria. The fair was packed as usual: games, food stalls, and our favorite, the haunted house. That's where it all began. As we stepped inside, I noticed something off: a man in a torn rabbit mask, unlike any of the other actors. Too quiet. Standing still in a dark corner, no one seemed to notice. I assumed it was part of the scare. But as I passed him, I could swear he whispered something. A low, raspy voice I couldn't quite make out. When I turned back, he was gone. He didn't appear in the next scenes. He didn't walk out the exit like the rest of the staff. I left the haunted house feeling uneasy, but the chills faded under the music and fireworks, until I realized someone was following me, keeping a steady distance. It was the man in the rabbit mask. I turned to Jesse. "Do you see him too?" I asked. He nodded, visibly tense. We tried to lose him in the crowd cutting through busy sections of the fair, but somehow he always reappeared, in the distance, just watching. His head tilted, that torn mask frozen in a crooked smile. We told the festival security. They laughed, said it was probably someone in cosplay. No one took us seriously. When the fair ended, we split up to head home. I walked alone, taking a shortcut through the woods. That's when I heard footsteps behind me. Fast, then slow, then fast again. I turned: no one. I started running. About 60 feet ahead, I saw the entrance to the neighborhood. The first streetlight breaking through the darkness. I sprinted, didn't dare look back. At my yard, I finally turned around. He was there, right at the edge of the shadows. That same torn mask, silent. I ran inside, locked the doors, 3 deadbolts. But I swear all night long I heard faint scratching at the window, like fingernails dragging across glass. No one believed me. By morning, no trace, no marks, nothing. A week later, someone posted a picture on Facebook. A man in a ripped rabbit suit had been seen roaming near festivals in nearby towns. People thought it was a prank. Then someone went missing. A 16-year-old girl, last seen after the fair. No cameras, no witnesses, just a long scratch on the bicycle she left behind. They never found her. They never identified the man. I moved away years ago. But every summer I still dream of that torn rabbit mask, standing still in a crowd of laughter. And I wonder, is he watching someone else now at another festival, waiting to step out of the dark again? We often look forward to holidays as an escape from the everyday. But sometimes it's in the moments you let your guard down that the darkness creeps in. Unfamiliar faces, strange footsteps in the night, and the things you think are just a joke become the nightmare that never ends. Thank you for listening. If you've ever had a chilling experience during a holiday, don't hesitate to share it in the comments. And if you still think Memorial Day is a safe, happy time, think again before it's too late. I'll see you in the next late night story.